Hello and welcome back. Oh, sorry, I've got a cough. Hello and welcome back. It's that dreaded New Year's flu. But we are back for 2023. We're back for silver. Of course, we had the gold race last night, which was an epic one, to be fair, for the return of ALR into the new year, with heavy rain for the whole duration of the race. So go back and watch that one. It was a lovely race that was yesterday in gold. But of course, silver is tonight on Monday nights, and we'll be back for the action tonight here. So let's have a look and see what the conditions are going to be like. We're loading in now, but yeah, we've got 17 drivers on the grid. I think a few people unfortunately decided not to take part in the Monaco Grand Prix tonight, which is a bit of a shame because I think they got a bit scared of the event. But nonetheless, a historic track for F1 and for the calendar itself as well. So stay tuned tonight for some epic action for silver. I'm sure there'll be some ups and downs as they go around this famous Monaco circuit. Of course, we'll go through the lap in just a jiffy when we've got some drivers out on track. As it looks like we've got some. I think it was either Wilson or Reflection out on the track now. But yeah, looking for an epic race on the very first silver race of 2023. So like I said, we're resuming the season after the first 6 rounds took part before the Christmas break. And I hope everybody had a nice Christmas and, of course, a nice New Year as well. Like I said, I've been suffering with a chest infection and a cough for the last week or so, from pretty much the beginning of the new year. So yeah, was in bed for New Year's Eve, enjoying the fireworks from my bedroom window, and then falling asleep before midnight anyway. So that was that. But nonetheless, we'll have to worry about that. I wouldn't have to worry about that for. Well, you don't have to worry about that. I have to deal with my cough and my antibiotics, and hopefully don't interrupt the stream too much tonight with my coughing. But nonetheless, we'll have to see how the drivers react. Hopefully, there's not too much action, but I don't doubt that is going to be the case around here, because it is an epic track and very easy to get into a wall, isn't it? As the drivers now taking themselves around the circuit to get themselves warmed up on their out laps now. But yeah, hopefully audio-wise everything's all right. It seems to be okay, just about. We're on board with Dopey Lemons there, coming through the Nouvelle Chicane, which is the middle part of the lap, pretty much, as he heads now towards Sector 3 as well. So, yeah, so stay tuned for more action in silver tonight. Of course, we have had gold last night as well. That was an absolute epic. We haven't had any reports just yet of the weather conditions, so hopefully somebody can pop that into the Discord or the comment section, and then we can see what the weather's going to be like for the race as well. Of course, heavy rain for the whole of the gold race last night proved to be an absolute epic one as well. So, so go and watch that back for sure. But here comes Dopey Lemons now heading towards Zandvoort. Turn 1, of course, no heroics, please, into Zandvoort. Of course, on lap 1 that is, or any lap to be fair. It's quite an easy one to get wrong, even if you've only got yourself to worry about, not any other cars around you. So looking like Dopey Lemons are handling it very well through the casino section as well. Now down the hill towards Mirabeau, through the hairpins of turns 5 and 6, and now into the next phase of the lap, going towards the tunnel section of this famous circuit. Like I said, we've got a few more drivers who have joined us as well. I think we've got Beast, who is reserving there in the McLaren. Dan Murphy's not taking part in this qualifying session, and then Wilson in the Red Bull. I think it's pot stuff, isn't it? I'm a bit rusty, unfortunately, because as Wilson there has got a penalty there for an ultimate has a collision with Ultimate Beast, which is good stuff indeed. A great way to start your career in ALR, and that is yeah, unfortunately going to be reviewed after the race. But yeah, there we go. I think there was a bit of collision there coming back into the pits, as it looks like Wilson was trying to get himself back to the pit lane, and Beast was trying to set himself away on his flying lap. Dopey Lemons there has set the fastest time so far. The first lap time on the board, in 11.0 there for the Alpine. Vitold there, 13.1 there in the Ferrari, is in P2 as it stands. There we go then, we've got the chat sorted and everything like that. Good stuff indeed. Rightio then. Like I said, Kamara Racing now sets the fastest sets the pace, I should say. He is almost 2 tenths, just over 2 tenths faster than Dopey Lemons there. The Ferrari boys looking good at the moment. Of course, only 3 have set a time, and 2 of them have been a Ferrari driver. So that is not to be taken with a pinch of salt. That is. Here comes Fangio now up to the line. Of course, the second place in the championship as Reflection has had an accident, I think, or no, he's in the pit lane, I think, potentially. Yeah, so he just decided to retire in the pits as Reflection. But Fangio there, of course, P2 in the championship there, puts himself up into P2 in the qualifying session as well so far. Dopey Lemons there in P3. Bradford there puts himself up into P4 there. He comes through the casino section now. Vitor there in P5. Equaz there has set a time of 13.1 as well. He's in P6, currently in P3 in the standings for the Drivers' Championship, that is. Let's have a look and see who else is about. Brabbit is just starting his lap there, coming through Sandevot up the hill now towards the casino. Cassell there coming out the pits and just making sure he's not getting in the way of anybody. And there's the McLaren there going through of Ultimate Beast. I think it was Beast who was actually done a not competitive lap time at this stage of the race, I don't think. So I think that might have been why. Sweet and repeat, Potstuff was quick around here, so he's not racing. Yeah, unfortunately Potstuff said he's he's had to work tonight, which is good timing, I suppose, for Potstuff because it is the Monaco Grand Prix. But it would have been nice, like you said, Sweet MJP, to see him on the grid. Yeah, nonetheless, he's going to be coming back very, very quickly, hopefully next week with a vengeance to try and get some more points on the board for himself. I don't believe he's not done too badly, to be fair, in the first few races as Potstuff. He's in the top half of the championship at least, which is much more than I can achieve in silver even. But Brabbit there has unfortunately invalidated his time coming through the Nouvelle Chicane. He has had a bit of a trouble there getting through without cutting the corner, and of course it's a bit of an easy one to cut the corner on as well. Good luck, says Serious Mushroom and Sweet MJP as well. Brabbit there is going to go for another attempt, I think it is, through Sandevot. He goes once again. That Mercedes is the only Mercedes in the grid, unfortunately, because I think Tango is one of the drivers who decided not to take part in this epic Monaco Grand Prix, which is going to be an epic in about 12 minutes time or so. Will be underway for the race. But here comes Cassell now up the hill. Cassell not confident about this circuit, about this race himself, but he's put himself in the car and at least is going to be fighting to see what he can do in this race, which is great to see. He goes purple in Sector 1, which is promising. Very good stuff indeed if Cassell can keep up this pace around the hairpin as well now. Heading towards the tunnel. Let's have a look and see who is going to be next across the line. Brabbit now through the Nouvelle Chicane. I think he's going to be him coming through, and this time he's kept it valid. He's running out of ERS though. That ERS is dangerously low now. You can see the red light flashing on the back of the diffuser of that Mercedes as he goes through the swimming pool section now, and making sure he does that very nicely now into Raskas, the penultimate corner here, and into Anthony Nodes as well. Very easy to clip the curb there, or clip the barrier I should say, on the entry, but he's not done that. He's up to the line, and what's it going to be? It's going to be P5 there for Mercedes. Good stuff indeed for Brabbit. A 12.1 there is good enough for P5 as it stands at the moment. So there we go. Like I said, short quali in this one. We had a full quali in gold last night, which proved to have its own interesting points, as quite a few drivers were knocked out who were not meant to be knocked out. The likes of Gurman was one of the big talking points. It was an interesting one, that was. Cassell puts himself up into P5. Fantastic lap time indeed from Cassell there. 11.7 for somebody who is not keen on this track. Is not looking too bad at the moment. DMAC has done a time of 13.0 there, puts in P8. There's only be a few drivers who are not setting a time in this one. It looks like Dan Murphy and Reflection have already retired. They're not going to be setting a time. Ultimate Beast will hopefully aim to improve on his time there of 1 minute 30.0. I think he's got the pace there to get himself back up the order and potentially onto the front row or even further. Well, the front row or pole, I should say, because you can technically be on the front row, and that's it. So there we go. On to some more outlaps. We've got Kamara Racer just starting another lap now, coming up the hill. I think he's just got past that Alpine there. Hopefully he's got past safely. And now on board with him as he goes through the Casino Square and down the hill towards Mirabeau as well, making sure he doesn't do a Rosberg, but he's in the wrong car to do a Rosberg. He's in a lovely Ferrari instead, so that's good stuff indeed. And now around the first of the hairpin, or second of the hairpins, to get himself underway into Sector 2 full and proper. It's quite a slow start to Sector 2, but now it's full beans as through the tunnel he goes. There's a yellow flag on the other side. It's a Haas coming through. I'm not quite sure. Kamaro's there just backed off a little bit there, thinking the Haas might have been getting in his eye line, but he has got out of the way, thankfully. I think it was Fangio. And so, yeah, I think it's Fangio. Yeah, it's Fangio. Irvine has not come out the pits, unfortunately, just yet. Yellow flag is fluttering, but I think, again, it's for Fangio just getting out of the way of the cars coming through into the swimming pool section. We've clipped the wall there as Kamara Racer. That could be a bit of damage there on the right end plate for that Ferrari. Will we see any improvement on his lap time, though? Let's have a look as he comes across the line, or comes across the DRS line first, and now DRS is activated for him up to the line. It's a 14.4 there, so he did have a bit of a slow lap there. It looks like, actually, I didn't even notice, but he turned the ERS off because he's got plenty of ERS now to play with. I think going for a second attempt here is the Ferrari driver. Let's have a look and see what he can do. He's on pole position as it stands for the first time in this season as well. It is Kamara Racer. That is looking good for him indeed. He is almost a tenth up on his time as well in the first sector on this flying lap. Let's have a look and see what he can do as he comes now around the hairpins once again. And now into the one of the main straights, I would say, the actual straight. It's not a straight at all, really, is it? It's very curved, but it is the one of the fastest points of the circuit. That just shows how slow you're going around Monaco as well, to be fair, as he negotiates the Nouvelle chicane very nicely indeed. And now in towards Sector 3, the light is flashing. Now, I'm not quite sure why the light's flashing because the ERS looks to be okay for his Ferrari engine at the moment, but now coming through into Rascasse as well. Now let's see what he can do all around the penultimate corner. A bit of a slide on there as well from the back end up to the line. Let's see if he's going to improve on a 10.799. It's going to be close. It's a 10.721. He has improved by just under a tenth there. He's got himself further up the order though, further ahead of Fangio now, who is in P2. Let's have a look and see what Fangio's doing. He's on a outlap at the moment. Dopey Lemons is going again, I think. Let's have a look and see what he can do. I'll come back to him in just a jiffy. Equaz has unfortunately validated his time. Brabbitt is going again up the hill. He's got a Alfa Romeo, I think, following him through as well. As somebody has jumped up the order. Nigel has jumped up the order there to P4 in the Alpha Tarrier's first lap time on the board in this qualifying session. So he's still got time to get himself back in and get a new set of tyres on as well. And there we go. Right, I think that's pretty much it so far. Everyone else who's out and about is going to get himself onto track now. Smithy is doing the pits, as is V Todd, Farf, and that's it. Everybody else is out and about on track, apart from Dan Murphy, who has lost his car keys once again, and Reflection, who has also lost his car keys as well, looks like. So not going to be taking part in this qualifying session, and we'll be starting down the order. But let's see if they can fight through. Can they get through the order with all the cars around them in this tight circuit? It's going to be an interesting one to see if they can fight through the order. We saw actually yesterday a fantastic drive in the heavy rain conditions from Wesley as well in gold. Absolutely epic drive from 18th to 5th, and I think they'll be happy that I let him through. That was probably I was going to hold him up too much, wasn't it? I think that was probably the reason why he got 5th. Because he got his best result of the season in Monaco, did Wesley last night, and so yeah, so it was an absolutely epic race as Cassell there coming through the swimming pool section, almost he clips the wall on the entry, that one, and that has unfortunately invalidated his time there as he cut across the corner of the chicane as he enters the pits now, currently in P7. Hello Sunshine, says Troy. Hello Troy, says Sunshine? I don't know. Hopefully I'm racing with you tonight. We'll find out later on after this one. Of course, Troy is one of the drivers who took part in gold last night as well, and he had a pretty epic race to boot as well. So he got the fastest lap point as well, which is always an extra good little point that you can get from taking part in the race as well. And I think Farf has got through to start his lap there. I think there was somebody who's coming out the pits in front of him. I don't know if Smithy is going to be coming out the pits or not. He might have got himself stuck. Good evening to yourself. Troy as well says Serious Mushroom. Let's have a look and see who's going to be crossing the line next. It's going to be Beast in the McLaren up to the line. It's a 23.0 there, unfortunately for Beast. So he's having a difficult time. He's not having a good time at the moment in this qualifying session. So yeah, hopefully he can get that rectified for the last few minutes of this lap and for the race itself. Ultimate Beast has got himself underway, and I think he's improved there into sector 1, so I think maybe we're just having a bit of a cool down lap and ready to get himself back underway now. Let's have a look and see who's going to be next across the line. D-Mac is coming back into the pits. He's decided to call it a day. Equaz is going through the hairpin section. Let's have a look at Fanjo, currently P2 in the championship with Nigel there in the lead. Currently, as it stands, if they were to qualify and finish P2, we got a Red Bull in the wall there. If they were to finish P2 and P4 as they are in qualifying for now, Nigel would still hang on to the lead of the championship as it stands. Equaz there in P5 there, just trying to get himself sorted, but unfortunately invalidating on this run. We'll have to come back to the pitch because that ERS is also out of action as well. Irvine there gets himself up into P7 there after setting. Well, he's done 2 laps, but he's on 1 set of tyres. We've just seen somebody jump up the order. Not quite sure who it was. Was it Camaro? No, it wasn't Camaro. I'm not sure who it was. It was Beast, I think it was. Beast there up into P7 now in the McLaren. Has set a competitive time now. He's up into the top 10 now as well. Is the McLaren reserve? Good stuff indeed. He's reserving for Craigar, I think he is, because both of the McLarens aren't here tonight, unfortunately. So I think he's reserving for Craigar, who was the one of the first to check out. But Red Bull doing the Perez, says Serious Mushroom. Yes. As VTOD has retired, he's on the circuit somewhere. VTOD into Raskas. He looks like he's lost control of the brakes there, and that has caused him a bit of an issue there. Irvine there looked like he was going to carry on into Anthony Nodes, but he's decided to come into the pits there at the last second. Called it a day on those tyres. But there we see VTOD. There we see VTOD unfortunately out of the race at Raskas, out of the qualifier, I should say, at Raskas. He's technically going to be starting. He's going to be starting at P12 at the moment. It depends if Farf, Smithy, or Wilson can improve on their time. But at the moment, he's going to be starting. He's going to be starting just outside the top 10 as it stands at this stage of the qualifying. But there we go. Then D-Mac, they're coming through. He's decided to skip the Nouvelle chicane. He's got plenty of time still on the board. He needs to make sure he slows the car down. Otherwise, there's a bit of a wall there waiting for him. As looks like Wilson's had a bit of problem there getting himself into the pits. But here comes D-Mac now to start his lap. Hopefully, he can get a competitive lap time on the board. Excuse me whilst I cough. There we go. VTOD following Ferrari tradition at Raskas, says Ginger Age. Yeah, I think so. Myself, I don't know where German. I don't think German retired at Raskas in qualifying last night. I know he didn't in the race, but yeah, unfortunately, I was just on the exit of Raskas. I was trying to get into the pit lane yesterday in qualifying, and I visited a wall instead, and I was like, "Oh, that's not what I want." Good luck, lads. And Evening All says pot stuff there. Unfortunately, like I said, pot stuff. So, like I said earlier, when Sweet MJP was commenting as well. Unfortunately, pot stuff not able to take part tonight. But wishing all the guys racing a bit of good luck tonight as Cassell popped himself up into P7 there. Once again, Cassell, one of the drivers not a fan of this track, or definitely vocalising that he's not a fan of this track, but looking pretty good so far in the qualifying phase. So yeah, there's still all to play for Cassell. Hopefully some points maybe on offer for him as well. But let's have a look and see what Brabbit can do now. Brabbit up to the line. No, he's not using his ERS, so I think he's just coming back to the pits, or he's going to start his lap now. Here comes D-Mac now through Raskas. Let's see what he can do as well. Get back to work, says Serious Mushroom to pot stuff. I'm sure he's got a bit of a break. He's got some break time now to indulge himself in some ALR Grand Prix racing, which is what everybody should be doing on a Monday, on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evening, of course. But D-Mac there unfortunately didn't improve on his time there, 11.8 for the Alpine driver. So he's going to be staying in P11 for the time being. Let's have a look as Farf has invalidated his time as well. Let's see who's going to be next across the line. I think Nigel might be coming up to the line. He's just starting his lap here. Fanjo, no, it's not Fanjo, it's Irvine. Irvine starting his lap as well. I think we've got a few drivers now starting their laps. Cassell is also getting himself back underway as Kamara Racer goes even faster. He's done a 10.4. We have the checkered flag has fallen as well. Smithy Almighty and Farf not setting the time in this session. Beast is done and dusted as well in P9. and we've got a Ferrari or Camaro racer. They're getting out of the way of the drivers coming through, but Camaro is currently our pole sitter. Fangio has finished as well. He's done a 10.5. He couldn't beat the Ferrari driver of Camaro racer. There's still a few drivers out on track that could potentially, but we'll have to wait and see if they can. But at the moment, Camaro racer with his first pole position of the season, looking formidable in this Monaco Grand Prix qualifying, at least. Looking to see if he can do that in the race as well. It's going to be 39 laps of concentration being key as well, but of course starting out in front is always the best option around Monaco. Here comes Dopey Lemons there, one of the drivers looking to improve on his time to see if he can get that car onto the front row. Can he do it? Up to the line, the DRS is activated, up to the line. It's a 10.7 there, stays P3 but improves by 2.5 tenths to stay in that third position. Here comes Nigel now, his rival. Up to P3 is Nigel. He's beaten Dopey Lemons by just over just over a tenth of a second. So there we go. A 10,000th of a second, I should say, really. But Nigel there up into P3, looking good there for him as well, onto the front of the second row. Dopey Lemons there in P4, Equans P5, Brabbit there in P7, P6, I should say, Bradford in P7. Cassell there, unfortunately, he's been pipped to the post by his teammate for the highest qualifying position, but he's only just there on the same row as his teammate as well, for row 4. Is the Alfa Romeos. Then we've got Beast there in P9, Irvine in P10, DMAC there in P11. Unfortunately, Viton had a bit of a smash there in Raskas, but he did set a time to get himself up into P12, and then Farf, Dan Murphy, Smithy, Reflection and Wilson didn't set a time, but our pole sitter is Camaro racer just getting himself wheeled back into the pit lane there. A fantastic lap time indeed from the Ferrari driver. His first pole position of the season, like I said, absolutely epic from the Ferrari driver, and he'll be looking to push on for a successful race as well. As Luke has said that DMAC has been washed. So hopefully he's had a nice shower in qualifying and he's ready to take part in the race. He might need a shower after the race as well, because it's going to be a bit of a sweaty one in my opinion. I'm already getting a bit sweaty in the comms box. So yeah, hopefully Luke DMAC can get himself sorted and get himself into the points. He's only one place outside the points at the moment. There was a good margin there between Camaro Racer and Fangio in the end, almost 0.2 of a second there. We saw a half a second gap between P1 and P2 in gold last night, with Geordie Boxtel absolutely blitzing the pace, blitzing the field, and then blitzing the race as well. He absolutely disappeared off in the distance from everybody in the Monaco Grand Prix last night. So yeah, absolutely epic from Geordie there with his first win of the season as well. Can Camaro copy him really and get the get his first win of the season in this one as well? We'll have to stay tuned as Fangio has left the session, unfortunately, and that is not good news at all. Hopefully he can get himself back in the car. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. Let's quickly send him an invite just in case. How can I search for players? No, I want to search and send an invite, please. LOI, and we'll send an invite quickly. Oh, this is taking forever. There we go. Got him a quick invite out. There we go. Hopefully he can get himself back in the race. But yeah, that will be a bit of an issue there if he doesn't get himself into the car for the restart. Fingers crossed he can get himself back in. Can Camaro convert the pole this time? It says Serious Mushroom. Hopefully he can. He'll be looking forward to doing that, as of course the historic track of Monaco is familiar to a Ferrari winning around here. So we'll be able to hopefully see potentially that Ferrari lifting the first place trophy once again in 39 laps time, that is. But we're just loading in now. Like I said, hopefully Fangio can get himself back in the car for the start of this race at least. I don't know if he'll be able to take part in the formation lap, but he should hopefully be able to take part in the in the race itself. Yeah, the timer is ticking down now. The lobby has been updated. I'm not sure if that means that Fangio has jumped in, but hopefully he's got himself into the session once again at least, and can get himself back in the car. There we go then. The timer has ticking down now. Everyone is just sorting their strategies out, getting the tyres sorted. Fangio has joined. The formation lap is underway, I don't think he's in the car at the moment, so hopefully he can get himself in the car during the formation lap and then take part in the start of the race, but I think he might have a bit of problems there on the start of the race, which is not a good news around Monaco, of course. But fingers crossed, fingers crossed it doesn't play too much havoc. But Kamara Racer will be thankful that he's now ahead of Fanjo, especially if there is issues into turn 1, because he is now going to be leading the way in this race. Of course, on the formation lap, he is setting the pace, getting those tyres warmed up very nicely. Let's have a look at the strategies then, shall we? We'll turn that off. No, we don't want that one. We want that one. Let's have a look at the strategies then, shall we? Wilson there starting on the medium compound tyres from P17. His teammate of Reflection is on the mediums as well. So both looking to get themselves going nicely in the start of this race. Smithy Almighty on the mediums in P15 as well. Then Dan Murphy on the hard compound tyres. Farf as well in P13. Also on the hard compound tyres, looking to go long in the first stint. Thankfully, it's dry, unlike yesterday, as Farf they're drifting around at the circuit. And DMAC there, Vitod, in P12 on the medium compound tyres. His Ferrari teammate, of course, in P1. But Vitod having a bit of a smash into the Rasgas corner in the qualifying, causing himself to not be able to improve on his time. DMAC there in P11 on the grid on the medium compound tyres in the Alpine. Then into the top 10, we've got Irvine in P10 on the medium compound tyres. Beast in P9 on the mediums as well in the McLaren. And then we've got Cassell, both the Alfa Romeos there going for the hard compound tyres in P8 and P9, Cassell and Bradford respectively. Brabbitt there in P6 on the medium compound tyres as well in the Mercedes. Equaz in P5 on the mediums, as is Dopey Lemons in P4. And then Nigel, our championship leader, on the hard compound tyres in P3. That might be difficult for him with the medium runners behind him trying to get through. On the front row, we've got Fanjo, who is hopefully back in the car on the medium compound tyres. And our pole sitter for tonight, Camaro Racer in the Ferrari as well on the mediums. Hopefully he can get himself back in the car. We'll have to find out, fingers crossed, on the start of this race, I should say. We're just waiting for the cars to line up. I think we're all here. Fanjo, I think, is back in the car potentially. Looks like the car is solid. Fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look and see what the start lights are going to do. The lights are on. We're going to have five red lights in Monaco, and we're out and we're away. Fanjo is back in the car. I think he's got himself back in the car, which is good news indeed. Nigel got away really well. He's up the inside there of Fanjo into turn 2, into turn 1, into Sandoval. He's got himself up into P2 already, has Nigel on the hard compound tyres. A good start indeed from the championship leader. Kamara Racer is checking out in front at the moment. Those hard compound tyres, of course, will be much slower on the start of this race. Fanjo there, I think, having issues on the start with his disconnection issue as well, but he's luckily back in the car and back in the race at least. There is a yellow flag at the back as Vitod is off the circuit. He's had a bit of wing damage there as Vitod. Cassell is also having problems as well in the hairpin, it looks like. I'm not quite sure what's happening there to Cassell. He's dropping down the order. He's dropped down to P13. I think those hard compound tyres are not having good luck of warming up, but he's still got the wing intact. I'm not quite sure what's happened there to him as well. It seems like maybe just a bit of a poor choice of car placement in the hairpin section, which is very easy to get wrong. Vitod has got no front wing at all. Hopefully he can get himself back to the pits. He can get himself repaired, as now one Ferrari is at the back and one Ferrari leads this race. 1.5 seconds is the gap from Kamara Racer to Nigel in P2. He's really checking out in the distance. His Kamara Racer looking to try and extend the lead as quickly as he can in this first stint. They're of course setting the fastest lap of the race on lap 1 as well. Fantastic racing there. Fantastic start indeed, I should say, from Kamara Racer as well. Nigel there trying to keep up with the Ferrari there. You can see in the distance climbing up the hill as the gap is just extending as the Ferrari Kamara just keeps checking out in the distance. Fanjo there looking to get himself back up into P2 after having that difficult start. I think it was nothing to do with Fanjo's start itself. It was to do with the disconnection there, but he thankfully, super thankfully as well, because we were having some issues in the comments thinking that Fanjo might not be able to take part in this race at all. Thankfully he is in the car and at least on the podium still after that start. So thankfully it's all going well for now. Vitod is into the pits, getting a new front wing on that Ferrari and getting himself back out onto medium compound tyres as well. The Kamara there was cutting through the Nouvelle chicane. Fanjo pushing Nigel there through the Nouvelle chicane as well. He's really trying to get himself back through. Those tyres are now warmed up. I think there might be a glitch where if you lag out on the formation lap, you have cold tyres on the start, which might cause might be the reason there for Fanjo's poor start, which I think it might be the reason. Anyway, we'll have to come back and check that. But I think that's probably why we're now seeing Fanjo pushing hard, because those tyres have warmed up to their optimal temperature. Kamara sets the fastest lap of the race. I think that is going to be eclipsed there by Fanjo very soon, because he's going to be trying to get himself past the AlphaTauri of Nigel ahead of him there. Good evening, says Geordie. Good evening to yourself, sir. A fantastic win, like I said already in this commentary. I said it in qualifying if you missed the qualifying, but I said a fantastic qualifying and race from Geordie last night. So go and watch that back. It was literally, it was epic indeed. As we've got a bit of contact, I think, there between the front wing of Fanjo and the diffuser of the AlphaTauri of Nigel. Look at that. He's pushing him through the hairpin here into the tunnel as well. I think they're going to go almost inside each other there. Thankfully, they've calmed down a little bit now. But yeah, it looked like Nigel there was really struggling to get the car rotated through the hairpin section, through the Nouvelle chicane now as well. They both come through unscathed, which is nice. But now the gap 2.6 seconds there to Camaro. Look at him go. He's really going for it in this one. He needs to keep it clean, keep it easy, take it easy, because of course those walls are waiting to claim you, as we found out. Well, I found out yesterday anyway. So but Geordie didn't. So yeah, Geordie did a good job there. As here comes Mr. Monaco, says Ginger Age. Yeah, it looks like Mr. Monaco is Geordie Boxtel, and it looks like at the moment Camaro Racer as well. They're going to be fighting for that title, I think, Mr. Monaco title. But everyone else is going to be trying to get that title off of Camaro Racer as well in this race, especially. So let's have a look and see what they can do. Nigel and Fanjo have calmed down a little bit now. Their antics on the last lap have sorted themselves out slightly. I think the ERS light is flashing on that AlphaTauri, so he's really been pushing as hard as he can to try and get away from Fanjo, but to no avail. Of course, those medium compound tyres will be optimal right now. The hards will be much more difficult, as Dan Murphy, no, it's Wilson there, off at the downhill section towards the Mirabeau corner. Unfortunately, he is out, well, not out of this race, thankfully, but he is now down into P16. He's ahead of V Todd though. V Todd, of course, having made that pit stop for a front wing after an incident on the first lap. Fanjo and Nigel, there's an incident there in the Nouvelle chicane. We completely missed it, unfortunately. Hopefully everyone's got through okay. Fingers crossed everyone's got through okay. There's no front wing issues there for the AlphaTauri, none for the Haas either. I think it was a late move in the Nouvelle chicane through the braking section for the Haas driver there of Fanjo. He has picked up a penalty there for his troubles as well, which has now put Ekwaz on his case. Let's see if Ekwaz can get himself up into the podium place as well. Of course, currently in P3 in the standings, Ekwaz, and has done a fantastic job in the first few races of the season as well. 6 races have been done and dusted. We are on to round 7 tonight. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what Ekwaz can do in the season as well. He's done a fantastic job, very consistent and clean, and very careful in the races as well, which is going to help him here in Monaco, I think, because of course if anybody else is going to be making mistakes or causing a few incidents, then he'll be able to pick up the pieces and get himself some extra points as well. So there we go then. Looks like Fanjo has dropped off the back of Nigel now. I'm not quite sure if there's damage to that Haas after making an attempted move through the Nouvelle chicane, as Wilson is into the pits. He's got himself back in to repair that front wing, I think it is. Evening to Theo as well, as he has joined us in the comment section to watch this epic Grand Prix unfold. As I was saying that though, Camaro Racer is doing a Geordie Boxtel impression at the moment. He's trying to check out in the distance and get as far away ahead as he possibly can, and it is looking good so far for the Ferrari on lap 5, as we're just finishing lap 5 now, or he is just finishing lap 5. So good stuff indeed. Unfortunately, we've had 2 people in the pits already. It was Wilson and V Todd there, who are down the back of the order having to get a new front wing. It looks like Fanjo has called it a day as well on those medium compound tyres. It's an early stop, and I think it's an unscheduled stop as well. He's not replaced the front wing, but he's going for a set of the hard compound tyres. I think that might be a glitch there, where the pit crew have not changed the front wing on this car, and that is going to come back to bite him, unfortunately. Although it looks like it's intact on my screen anyway, so hopefully he's all right. Camaro is gone, says Serious Mushroom, and at the moment it looks like that is the case. Yeah, he's now relinquished. Well, now he's relinquished the gap. He's up to 4.2 seconds now, I should say. He's going the opposite way. He's really trying to extend the lead as much as he can there to Nigel now. But of course, Nigel is on the hard compound tyres, so he's looking to go longer. And of course, those tyres are much more durable, but have less pace, so they will be a bit slower at this stage of the race. But once the mediums start to wear out, then of course we will see more of those hard compound tyre runners come into the fray, into the action as well. Cassell there's got himself back up into P11 there after the mishaps for other drivers. Unfortunately, had a difficult start to the race there to Cassell, but he's now got himself back up towards the points paying positions almost. So hopefully he can get himself back into the top 10. Let's now have a look at the gaps elsewhere. There's a lot of action in the midfield here. DMAC is into P6. He's had a great job there. We'll have a look at the start, shall we? Let's have a look at the change of order. DMAC there up from P11 there to P6. Fantastic stuff indeed from him. He's now got the Ultimate Beast all over the back of him now, and he's going to be pushing himself up the hill. Let's have a look and see if there's any moves in Casino Square. I don't think that's a good opportunity to try and go for a move. I don't think there's many opportunities around Monaco to be there to go for a move, but will there be a move now into Mirabeau on the brakes late into the hairpin? No, not quite. No changes made just far, but here comes Beast once again. He's going to be trying to bide his luck, try his luck at some point, I would expect, but he's now got a train of Bradfield behind him, Irvine behind him, and Farf as well. Cassell there dropping off the back slightly from this group, but is still on the cusp of the point-paying positions. How can Beast get past this Alpine? Can he make a move into the Nouvelle Chicane? He's too far back into the braking zone. He's almost pushed the Alpine out of the way there as well, through the chicane, but he's not been able to make a move. There, Haas of Irvine, they're having a look at Bradfield as well, coming through the exit of the chicane as well, but no moves made. Late on the brakes into the swimming pool section. That is going to be an audacious move if you can make that move, but no, nothing has come from that, unfortunately, for Beast. He's now lost a bit of time actually to DMAC after that late lunge into the swimming pool section. I think that's probably one of the places you definitely can't go for a move around this circuit, and there's many of them, so there we go. But they're Beast, they're having to bide his time. They're sticking P7, of course. Patience is key around Monaco. You can get stuck, as we saw with Lewis Hamilton and another Alpine, Fernando Alonso. You can get stuck behind a car who is a bit slower than you, and there's literally nothing you can do about it, and especially in the heavy rain conditions that we saw yesterday, it was very difficult. But I think actually it was quite a lot of overtaking in the race from Gold yesterday as well, so it was an entertaining one for sure. Let's have a look and see what Beast can do now. We're on to lap 8. The gap out the front is almost 5 seconds now between Camaro and Nigel. It's looking good for Camaro at this stage. Here comes Beast now through the tunnel. Let's see what he can do into the Nouvelle Chicane. Can he get close enough to make a move on the brakes into the chicane? No, not quite. DMAC there just controlling the pace for the time being, I should say, as the McLaren there has to bide his time and wait for his next opportunity. But there, that battling, that energy that's been expended by the McLaren there is costing him time now. I think he's having to drop back from the Alpine there. Bradfield there doing a good job there on the hard compound tyres, scraping the wall there through the exit of the swimming pool chicane. Now Irvine's going to be interested in him on the main straight, their DRS, the only DRS straight, DRS zone, I should say. You can't really put DRS through the tunnel section, firstly because it's kind of a corner, and secondly because the pressure through the tunnel and then coming out of the tunnel would mean that it could cause the car to just spin, apparently. So that's my technical knowledge about the matter, but there we go. So there we go. Theo has put a glove in the comments as well. Good glove indeed. Lovely stuff. Cassell there with this battling ahead. He's actually, I would have thought he'd be able to gain up to the back of this pack. Unfortunately, Cassell there is dropping off the back. Unfortunately, Dan Murphy now is going to be interested in the back of this Alfa Romeo, I should say, through the hairpin section. The Aston Martin in P12 currently. Smithy as well is in this battle, as is Reflection. Fangio is caught up to the battle as well, and unfortunately, this probably isn't what Fangio wanted at this stage of the race. He probably wants to have lots of clean air in front of him so he can get his fastest lap times in and get himself back up the order and potentially undercut Nigel later on in this race. But at the moment, it's going deep on the brakes. There is Fangio there trying to get past Reflection. Can't quite make the move. He's down 13 places as it stands. But like I said in the Discord before we started this race, patience is key because anything can happen. And I think, like I said, there's always a potential for an incident for drivers ahead of you, or wing changes, or a damaged wing that will cause a pit stop, anything like that, especially from myself if I was racing. Ultimate Beast there trying to line up a move now into Sandoval. He can't get past once again. That Alpine has got great straight line speed. DMAC there having a bit of trouble getting up the hill though, and he's now got himself back underway. Has DMAC good stuff indeed. He's got himself into that, stays in that P6 position, of course, with the McLaren bearing down on him. Can he make a move now into the Mirabeau hairpin? Too far back once again, and he's going to have to bide his time for another lap. It looks like another few corners at least as they go through the hairpin section of this famous circuit. Well, it's been a good race so far. Good stuff. Like I said, Ultimate Beast there just setting himself up for a move potentially if he can get himself just about a few attempts closer, a couple of attempts closer, then he might be able to make a move. Oh, is Irvine there trying to pull out of the slipstream and make a move on Bradfield. Beast picks up a penalty there going through the Nouvelle Chicane system as well. I think that might be a bit frustrating there for Beast as well. Picking up that penalty will be added onto his race time at the end of the race. Irvine there looking to try and line up a move on the Alfa Romeo of Bradfield. Both the Alfa Romeos under a lot of pressure at the moment, as Dan Murphy now is putting the pressure on Cassell. I think Smithy has dropped off the battle here as well. Reflection and Fangio trying to get themselves through the order. Fangio trying to line up a move now on the Red Bull, but the Red Bull is doing a good job of trying to stick in this race, and he's up 2 positions already, and he's had a quiet start, has Reflection, but we'll see what he can do, because Reflection, again, like Equaz, one of the consistent drivers on the grid, and will be looking to score some points potentially in this race. I think he has got the capabilities to do that as well. Let's have a look then out in front. It's still 4.7 now is the gap, so it's stabilised quite nicely now for Nigel. In Nigel's point of view, that is. Now it's 4.9, so maybe that is me getting it wrong. But yeah, the gap now stabilising just under 5 seconds now between P1 and P2. We saw exactly how Kamara was checking out in the distance in the first 6 or 7 laps or so, and so he's now got that gap under control, has Nigel, in trying to pull it back down. Of course, the hard compound tyres, like I said, will phase into this race. You can probably do well. We saw about half the race. Well, we didn't have much to tell on really in the race last night, because of course it was heavy rain for the whole duration. But we saw about half the race. We were able to do half the race or so on the full wet tyres, and then you had to come into the pits, and that was without any wing changes, of course, if you managed to keep it out of the wall all the time. As Fangio picks up another penalty there, unfortunately for Fangio, his frustration in trying to get past these drivers is causing him to get some penalties. Looks like, unfortunately for him. Maybe that first penalty will be looked at, because of course he did have another car side by side with him into a Nouvelle Chicane, which is quite nice. Nigel's hards are taken over, says Serious Mushroom. I think he's right there. As we've just been saying as well, it looks like the hards are phasing in just about, although the gap is now extended to 5.1 seconds, as Kamara has decided to go for a little bit of a push lap now. He's maybe saved some energy, has Kamara, and saved some tyres, so he can now push to his ideal racing stint, so he can then pit for fresh tyres. Of course, he has to pit for a new compounder tyre as well, because currently it is dry in this race. Potentially we'll see some weather. I'm not quite sure what the weather situation is going to be like in the rest of this race, but we're about a third of the way through almost. No, we're not. Yes, we are. We're coming up to a third of the way through, so nearly there. But everyone's done a good job so far. Dopey Lewins has got a penalty there. We'll have a look at the penalty situation in just a jiffy, but there's 3 drivers with penalties as it stands at the moment. V. Todd and Wilson, they're just trying to get themselves back up the order and get themselves back into this race, but still doing a good job of sticking at it. Fangio there, like I said, we're going to have a look at Fangio, because of course Fangio is trying to battle for the championship, and this is holding him up massively. There's a lot of drivers in front of him now who are getting in his way, and this is not what he wanted, of course. Having made that early pit stop from the mediums onto the hard compound tyres, he wanted to have a nice clean run to get himself back through the field and back into the points paying positions. But now coming through Sandavot, can he make a move into the Casino Square on Reflection? Reflection is being shoved up the hill. Yellow flag in sector 2. It's Wilson there coming through the Nouvelle Chicane, having a problem on the exit. There's no front wing on that Red Bull, it looks like, unfortunately for him. But Fangio there getting himself up into P15. He's not been able to make a move now on Reflection just yet through the chicane, as Wilson picks up a penalty through the swimming pool section as well. But there we go then, Wilson. I think it's just it's been a bit of a difficult race there for Fangio at this stage of the race. He's not having a good time at the moment, is he, unfortunately, in that Haas, and now having a difficult time trying to get himself through the traffic. But of course, a lot of drivers ahead of him will be pitting really early, well, fairly earlier on than he would have done, because of course they're on the medium compound tyres as well. Wilson has got himself back into the pits. He's got a hard set of compounds on that Red Bull. Unfortunately, I think he's been lapped, has he? Yes, he has. He's been lapped by quite a lot of the field. He's going to be coming out just ahead of DMAC and this pack here as well. As here comes DMAC, still in P6, doing a great job as DMAC as well in that Alpine. The blue flags are being waved as well for the Red Bull who's come out of the pit there. Ultimate Beast is still in P7, Bradford in P9, hanging on very nicely on those hard compound tyres. Into the pits comes Fangio once again, he's decided to call it a day on those. He's got a wing change coming up now. Has Fangio? I think he might have gone into the back of Reflection, unfortunately, or had a bit of an incident through the swimming pool chicane. But onto the medium compound tyres goes the Haas driver now. I think that is probably better suited to what Fangio is wanting, because of course now what he can do is go along and really just put in the best lap times that he can. It's qualifying laps now for Fangio on those new medium compound tyres. He might be able to get to the end on those tyres as well. It'll be a push, but we'll have to wait and see if he can do it. But I think it might be achievable. 25 laps on the medium is possible. They might be at their screaming breaking point, actually, by the time you get to the final lap, though. But I'm sure if any driver can do it, Fangio is capable of doing that as well. He's got the talent and he's got the ability. Yellow flags in Sector 3. It's, I think, just for the Red Bull getting out of the way, I think. But yeah, now into the pit straight. Let's have a look and see can Beast get himself through up into P6. D-Mac there stretching his legs there. He's got a lot of straight line speed in that Alpine, even though I'd assume that most people are running 50-50 wings around here, because that's what you do around Monaco, it seems. But it looks like the Alpine setup has got a bit more speed on the straights than the rivals around him. And even with DRS, Ultimate Beast can't close the gap on the Alpine. Vitold picks up a penalty there, unfortunately. As Wilson has left the session, he's decided just to pit and quit, basically. Unfortunately for Wilson, that is him done and dusted. Vitold there's got a penalty there, I think, coming through the Nouvelle Chicane, I think it was. He's now going to get himself back up into P16, I should say, and looking to get himself back in this race. But potentially, like I said, there'll be other wing changes for other drivers around him. And then that will come into favour. Into the pits comes the race leader from P1. He's coming into the pits from the medium compound tyres onto the hard compound tyres, I think. Yeah, he has down there. He's got a 3-second penalty there coming through the Nouvelle Chicane as well. I think that Nouvelle Chicane is causing a few penalty situations here as Equaz gets himself up into P2 now, of course, with the pit stop for Camaro. Camaro trying to come out ahead of D-Mac. He has come out ahead of D-Mac. He's got himself back out into P5. Very nicely done indeed. Into the pits comes Beast. He's called it a day on those medium compound tyres as well. I think trying to get an undercut here on the Alpine of D-Mac as well, potentially. Let's have a look and see how it plays out. Reflection also in the pits as well. So there's a lot of pit activity now. Fangio there will be looking to try and get a jump on the drivers around him. That's early, says Ginger Ray in the comment section. I think it is a bit early. I think it's manageable though, because like I said, 19 laps is the halfway distance. So if you're going on the hard compound tyres, you'd expect him to be able to get to the end from here. Fangio there coming through the order. He's got himself past Reflection. He's done the undercut on Reflection. Fangio sets the fastest lap of the race so far. Good stuff indeed. That's what he wanted. He's got himself back up ahead of Reflection now. Good stuff indeed from him. Farf there is still in the points position. Cassell's got himself back in the points as well. He's doing a good job there. He's got the gap down now to 3.2 seconds. It was over 4 seconds at one point. So Cassell now doing a good job there on those hard compound tyres, really trying to get himself back up the order. Let's have a look and see what Camaro can do. He's now going to be coming up behind the likes of Brabbitt and then Dopey Lemons, of course, on medium compound tyres. Equaz is in the pits. He's called it a day on those mediums as well. So 1 lap later for Equaz into the pits. Let's see what tyres he's going to go on to as well. Brabbitt carries on. That is not good news for Camaro, because of course Camaro is now going to be catching hand over fist now to that Mercedes. Equaz now onto the hard compound tyres. Where's he going to come out though? That is the question. We'll find out if D-Mac is also in the pits as well. He's onto the hard compound tyres. Will Ultimate Beast be able to get the undercut on the Alpine? Let's have a look there as we go through the final corner. Anthony Nozo's had a bit of a slide there. Has Ultimate Beast? That's not good news. Here comes D-Mac. There you can see the McLaren coming down the pit straight. It's going to be close indeed. No, it's not at all. It's going to be D-Mac. Sorry, no, it's going to be Ultimate Beast ahead of the Alpine of D-Mac, which is exactly what Beast was looking for with that undercut as well. 1 lap, fresher tyres now, and he is going to be gone in the distance there. That D-Mac's now going to have to bring those tyres up very quickly indeed to try and keep up with the McLaren. Camaro Racing's got himself past Brabbitt into the Nouvelle Chicane through the tunnel section. He's already through before the braking zone indeed, so that is just showing the power of those hard compound tyres as he's got himself up into P3 already through the Mercedes he's gone, and now Brabbitt there looking to follow him through, but I think potentially coming into the pits very soon as well for that Mercedes as well, making that pit stop in the next few laps or so. But Dopey Lemons is carrying on the medium compound tyres. He decided to stick at it for the time being. That is Brabbitt as well. Let's have a look and see if Irvine's going to come into the pits anytime soon. He is peeling away now into the pit lane, and in from P6 goes the Haas driver up into P7 now. Up into P6, as I say. He's the highest runner for the Haas team. Unfortunately for Fangio, he's just not had the luck this race so far. Smithy is also in the pits as well. Sorry. I'm going to die. Or am I wrong, says Ginger Age. Yes, always wrong. Tyre wear is not good here, says Serious Mushroom. I think it's well, you can get almost halfway through the race, as Fanjo has got ahead of his teammate now of Irvine. Those medium compound tyres now are switched on for the Haas driver. Can he get him to the end is the question, though. He's got to do 21 more laps, so he's got to do 25 laps in total. Reflection and Smithy Almighty switch places as Reflection gets ahead into turn 1 into Sandoval. Smithy net into P15, yeah, that is that. Unfortunately for who was we talking about? I can't remember. As for Fanjo there, sorry. Can he get those medium compound tyres 25 laps into this race? Like I was saying in the comment section, we had a bit of chatter about the tyre wear as well. I would say that as Dopey Lemons enters the pits there, so releasing Kamara into P2. But chat about the tyre wear, like I said, you can probably do about 20 laps on the half the race itself on the medium compound tyres, and then pit for the other compound for the hards, for example. I don't think the softs will last more than 12 laps or so around here. So yeah, it's not really a viable option. As here comes Dopey Lemons. Cassell gets himself up into P6. Dopey Lemons coming out of the pits now. He's going to be close indeed between himself and Dan Murphy. Dan Murphy going round Sandoval. He's got the move done. Those hard compound tyres are going to be a long time to warm up. Not for Dan Murphy, that is. He's on 18 lap old hard compound tyres. But they are for Dopey Lemons there, who's got himself onto the new set of boots. Of course, Dan Murphy is yet to pit in this race, as is Cassell, Farf, Jay Bradfield, Brabbit, and the race leader currently, Nigel, who is 11 seconds ahead of the former race leader, the net race leader of Kamara Racer, of course, who put himself on pole position and is looking to get himself back into the race lead when Nigel makes his pit stop. But we'll have to wait and see when that was going to be, of course. Nigel there starting his, or finishing the lap 19 as VTOD is back in the pits there. I think he's called it a day there. He's onto the hard compound tyres there. He's looking to get to the end now on those hard compound tyres. Good stuff indeed from VTOD for carrying on at least. Dopey Lemons there in P9 has now got himself a 3-second penalty. They're coming through the Nouvelle chicane. Those hard compound tyres take about a lap to warm up, so maybe through that braking zone into the chicane they just weren't warmed up just enough to get himself slowed down in time. Bradfield is in the pits from 18 lap old mediums. That is an early call there from the Alfa Romeo team. If he's going to go on to the end on the medium compound tyres here, that's about 20 laps or so. That might mean that potentially we can see as Fanjo is retired from the race, and I think that's just frustration for the Haas driver. He has crashed in the just on the exit of the swimming pool section. Unfortunately, there won't be a safety car because we don't have those in Monaco. But unfortunately, yeah, like I said, for Fanjo, he's the the second retirement of this race there. 15 runners are left in the session now, with Wilson also just pitting and quitting as well. So yeah, unfortunately for Fanjo, that is him out of the session, out of the race. He's had a difficult start, and that is him done and dusted. As now the closest battle on track is between Irvine and Bradfield. Bradfield just coming out of the pits onto the medium compound tyres. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next few laps. Tyres take a lot more lap to warm up, says Ginger Raid. Yes, they do, especially the hard compound tyres. I think the mediums might be a bit quicker, but let's have a look and see what as Wilson's AI has decided to pick for soft compound tyres, which is a nice, interesting strategy called that. But there we go. I need to take my slippers off because my feet are getting too hot. There we go. That just shows the professionalism that I am commentating in my bedroom. There we go. So hope you don't mind. They might smell a bit, so just stay tuned for that. Just make sure that you don't put a peg over your nose for the next few laps or so whilst the spell dissipates. But there we go. Anyway, carrying on for the race, carrying on back to the race, I should say. The gap now between Camaro and Fanjo, and Nigel, I should say, has gotten down to between just under 9 seconds now. So the gap coming down rapidly now to the race leader for the pole sitter, of course, Camaro. And now, of course, with the pit stop yet to be made for Nigel, that will be coming into play very shortly. But of course, we can see. Let's have a look and see what Bradfield can do. I was going to say potentially with Bradfield doing 20 laps on the mediums, that might mean that 25 laps of Fanjo is achievable. But of course, unfortunately for Fanjo, he's now out of this race and will not be taking part in the race anymore, as he has had a crash on the exit of this corner here. in the wall. He was on the right hand side, unfortunately for him, but Brabbit has not done that, which is good news. He's carrying on as Brabbit. He's done 20 laps on those medium compound tyres. That is an interesting strategy call there. Will we see Brabbit potentially go for the soft compound tyres at the end of this race? We'll have to find out. He's going to be under pressure now from the likes of potentially Farf. Equaz will get through as well quite easily, I think, especially on those fresher hard compound tyres. He'll be bringing that gap down. It's now currently 7.5 seconds roughly, so that might come down quite quickly in the next few laps, especially with Brabbit's tyre wear. We shall see. Don't worry, Alex, we don't judge, says Ginger Rage. Thank you very much. You can't judge anyway, so because I know exactly what smells you're facing when you commentate. But my feet are the last of my worries, especially if you're in the room. But there we go, and I'm just being mean now, so I'm very sorry. I didn't mean any of that. Love you, Sean. But there we go then. Dan Murphy now is in P7. Cassell doing a fantastic job indeed still of holding everybody up at the moment. He's doing a good job. Oh, from the lead of the race, Nigel was in the pits there. We'll go back to that as Nigel has got himself back into the pit lane. Let's have a look and see what tyre he's going to go on to. It looks like the medium compound tyre is the option for the AlphaTauri. Tomorrow there resumes the race lead. Is what he was, where he was, of course, placed before he made that early pit stop. Started on the medium compound tyres, did tomorrow, and now on to the hards. Nigel's done the opposite, so he's now on to the medium compound tyres after starting on the hard compound tyres from P3. He's now got the gap. He's got a gap of about 13 seconds while the tyres are warmed up to get himself up into potentially the realms of Kamara Racing, trying to get himself through. Dopey Lemons has gone through. Brabbit in the pits. He's on to the hard compound tyres, so he's gone very long on those medium compound tyres, and now he's dropping down the order. He's out in P10, so he's still in the points paying positions for now. Sorry, my nose is running. Part of this lovely flu as Dan Murphy's coming out of the pits now in P14 on the medium compound tyres behind Smithy. Of course, Smithy has got the undercut now on the Aston Martin after pitting earlier for those hard compound tyres. But of course, Dan Murphy will get those mediums warmed up to speed very quickly indeed and get himself after that Williams. But at the moment, Cassell and Farf are the drivers who are yet to make a pit stop so far. So Cassell they're up in P5 and then Farf in P3. Currently not stopped just yet on the hard compound tyres, both of them at the moment, so maybe looking to go a bit further and potentially get themselves onto the softs. We shall see, but everyone doing a good job so far. Brabbit picks up a penalty there. I think again the tyre warm-up is costing the penalties, I think, at this stage when they do come in the pits. Farf has decided to call it a day on the hard compound tyres now and has got his AlphaTauri into the pit lane. Let's have a look and see what tyres he's going to go on to and where he's going to come out as well, because that's going to be the important bit. Into the pits comes Cassell as well. Cassell calling it a day on those hards also. Farf onto the medium compound tyres, so nobody looking to go onto the softs just yet. Out in P9 at the moment. Cassell, of course, in the pit lane means DMAC is up into P10. There's a wing change there for Cassell. Unfortunately for him, we didn't see that. That might have been the reason why he didn't have much of the pace in the last few laps of that stint. But he was doing a good job nonetheless. But now coming back out in P14, he's looking to get himself back up the order now with a new front wing, of course, and with those fresh medium compound tyres. We shall see if he can get himself back up the order, of course. 15 laps or so to go in this one, as I'm just trying to get my words out. What are you doing, Step Nosey? Says Gernman. Oh, I'm stuck, Gernman. Help me, Gernman. I'm stuck in my commentary box and I need some help getting out. Anyway, Dan Murphy is going to try to Valana for move on Smith the Almighty into the Nouvelle chicane. He's going to be weaving this way and that way, looking like to trying to shape up the move, but not into the chicane this time. Unfortunately for the Aston Martin, they're both getting themselves back up the order. Potentially, there is some points on offer for these drivers as well. DMAC doing a good job there. He's got himself up from P11 there, up into P10, and racing with his 4G internet as well, which of course is a challenge itself, and especially around Monaco, I imagine. Here comes Farf now trying to line up a move on Brabbit. Now Brabbit there going long. Oh, sorry, damn. Oh, Smithy has had an accident there. I'm not quite sure if there was an incident there by Smithy coming back in the pits. I'm not quite sure if there was an incident there caused by Dan Murphy, but he's been passed by Dan and Cassell now. Smithy back in the pit lane. That's exactly where I binned it in qualifying in gold last night. So, yeah, there you go. So that just shows exactly what you can do wrong through the exit of Raskas. But luckily Smithy didn't have the the horrible feeling when that tyre fell off, like I did yesterday in qualifying. But thankfully he's got himself back underway, and a new front wing added on to that Williams car as well. Good stuff indeed. Farf and Brabbitt going side by side into the Nouvelle chicane. That is close indeed. I think Farf there just trying to get himself through, but he has having to bide his time. He's yeah, there we go. As German has commented some more laughing emojis, so now I'm going to try and stop myself from laughing. But there we go. Good stuff. Brabbitt there under a lot of pressure. We'll stick with this battle for now. But yeah, Brabbitt now coming around Anthony Nodes. Not the Nouvelle chicane. Anthony Nodes. Here comes Farf again with DRS into Sandevot. Any no heroics into Sandevot, please. And there is no heroics into Sandevot, but now up the hill towards the casino section. It's going to be close indeed. Can he make a move? Can he go side by side? Brabbitt there covering off the move as well. He's done a good job there, has Brabbitt, of making sure he positions that car in the right place, and he has done a good job of staying in P8 for the time being. Of course, with the penalty situation, he will be passed by Farf anyway, but we'll have to wait and see if that gap can stay the same. Of course, Farf just needs to stay within 3 seconds of Brabbitt to be able to jump the Mercedes car at the finish line, but there is still plenty of laps to go, and plenty can happen in this race. Bradfield there all over the back now of Beast. Beast has done a good job of getting himself up into P5, but Bradfield on the medium compound tyres as well, looking to go 20 laps or so on those mediums as well. He's going to be trying to get himself through at this stage of the race so he can get himself up the order and away from the McLaren as quickly as possible. But Beast is being pulled along now by Dopey Lemons, who's done a good job as well of staying with P4. We'll have a look at the position changes very quickly. But I think, yeah, like I said, Dopey Lemons, they're starting in P4 as well. So he's done a good job of sticking out his position. Unfortunately, unfortunately for Fanjo, there we saw him having a few difficulties in the first few laps, and that really cost him because he got stuck in the train and he couldn't get himself past. And that means Equaz has moved up 2 places and Nigel has moved up 1 place as well. Kamara, of course, on pole position, has stayed in pole position for all but 7 laps, where, of course, he made a pit stop earlier. And that is why Nigel then took the lead of the race in the middle phase. But now, once the pit stops have unfolded, we've got Kamara back on the top step, and Nigel there in P2 as well. Farf no pens, he's changed. We don't like it. It's a serious mushroom. I'm sure he'll get us a penalty very soon indeed. Don't you worry. We're coming through now in towards the Nouvelle chicane, which has been the famous site for the penalty situation in this race so far. On lap 28 we go. Let's see if Farf picks up a penalty here. Coming through here very nicely indeed, as Farf, very good stuff indeed. Keeping it nice and calm and within track limits. So unfortunately for serious mushroom, no penalties for Farf just yet. But we'll have to wait and see if that comes back to bite him. We never know. We might see a penalty pop up in the next few laps or so. So there we go. And Nightbot has said to join ALR, type ~ALR in the comment section to sign up. There we go. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Nightbot. But there we go then. Beast has got himself away from Bradfield somehow. I think Bradfield might have had an issue on the last lap or so. He's still got his front wing intact, but potentially we did see with Fanjo, I think it was, that the front wing can look intact from our point of view, but still require a wing change. So yeah, unfortunately for Bradfield, he did drop off the back of the McLaren, who's fighting now with Dopey Lemons for that P4 position, but doing a good job. Both these, 3 of these drivers at the moment so far. Dopey Lemons now, Bradfield now getting himself back in the fray. Potentially. Here comes Farf once again through he's sliding through the corner there, getting on the power a bit too early was the AlphaTauri, and that is going to cost him. Bradford picks up a penalty there in P6. They're coming through the Nouvelle chicane ahead of us, and here comes Farf now. He's going to have to try and regain his composure and get himself back in the order to try and get that gap back down, as Wilson's car is back in the pits again. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the strategy there is for the Red Bull, but nonetheless, it's working out all right for one of the Red Bulls in reflection, but not so much for the other one. But let's have a look and see if reflection can get himself past and up into P10, up onto the points paying positions now for the Red Bull team. We've got now Dan Murphy all over the back of these cars as well. But like I said, it's really difficult to overtake around Monaco of all places. So yeah, it's going to be a tough chance. As here comes Brabbitt, a fast switching places. Here comes reflection. Oh, it's contact from DMAC. I'm not quite sure if there was desync there, but they look like DMAC just cut off the Red Bull there. I'm not quite sure what's happened. As now into turn 1, DMAC goes. Cassels are going to be able to pick up the pieces here. And yeah, hopefully he knows that DMAC's got a bit of wing damage there, so he's going to go slow into the corner. and D-Mac they're just getting out of the way now of the Alfa Romeo, thankfully. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there. He'll have to be looked at after the race. Reflection has let Dan Murphy go. Reflection there, no wing damage I don't think, but it looked like going side by side down the main straight, but then the gap just closed. Unfortunately on reflection it looked like, but I'm not quite sure. We'll have to look into it fully after the race, of course. Hopefully D-Mac can get himself back in, and of course if he's listening, he can get himself on the soft compound tyres, which will easily go to the end of the race now, and get himself the fastest lap point as well, because unfortunately with that wing change he's going to be out of the points paying positions at the moment, but the point for fastest lap is still available, so he can potentially get himself on the soft compound tyres and go for that. Sorry, bear with me, I'll need to cough again. There we go, I've survived. Back now, so yeah, hopefully D-Mac can get himself back into the pits, like I said, and get himself on the soft compound tyres to get to the end of the race, and of course get the fastest lap point as well. Looks like a lot of the drivers around the order are not going to be making the pit stop, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they can get themselves to the start finish line at the end of lap 39, that is, to then get themselves some extra points. But it looks like D-Mac has gone onto the medium compound tyres from the Alpine, so potentially he can still go for the fastest lap point, and we'll find out. Let's have a look and see what the fastest lap point is. It's currently Fangio. No, it won't be Fangio, of course, because Fangio is not in the race. It will be Nigel there with a 12.755. So if D-Mac can get himself back up the order into the 12 or ahead of the 12.755, then he can get that a fastest lap point as well, which is good stuff indeed. So Nigel, they're currently the fastest lap point holder. Cassell picks up a penalty there, unfortunately for Cassell. That's going to add up, of course, to his race time, but currently he's got enough of a gap to Smithy in P13 that it won't affect his position at the end of this race. We're on lap 31 now. The gap is coming down slowly. It was, of course, about 13 seconds or so when Nigel came out of the pits 8 laps ago, that was, but now down to 7.6. So yeah, I think it's going to be close indeed. Potentially, if Nigel can keep up this pace, it's going to be very close indeed at the very final lap as well, which looks like it could be an enticing one. Yellow. Oh, what was that in the background? Oh God, I don't know what that was. Oh, it looks like, yeah, I think it was D-Mac there. Thankfully, it was a lap car. D-Mac there decided just to go into the wall. It looks like, unfortunately for D-Mac, that is him out of the race. Yeah, you can see the smashed car on the entry to the Nouvelle Chicane there. That is right in the firing line. But of course, because it's Monaco, no safety car for that at all, which is quite odd. But thankfully, all the drivers are able to get themselves around the stricken Alpine car. We've got an Alpine, a Red Bull, and a Haas all out of this race so far. Unfortunately for those drivers, unfortunately for D-Mac as well, he is out of this race. But hopefully he can get himself recovered and regrouped for the next one, which of course is going to be Azerbaijan in a week's time for Silver. Much more of a it's a bit of a friendlier street circuit. It's still got quite a few treacherous places, treacherous corners that is, but a bit more friendly than Monaco, I would say myself. But I'm a fan of anything street circuit related, so there we go. But Dopey Lemons now has got himself in the range of Equaz as well here, potentially for a podium place. Is Dopey Lemons looking for? He's looking for the another podium place. That is, of course, he got the podium on his debut, I think, at Australia for the Alpine team. Otmar was very happy with him then, looking to see if he's going to be very happy with him now as well. I think he'll be happy with P4 as it stands at the moment. Unfortunately for the other Alpine, he is out of this race, so I'm sure he'll be happy with any points for the Alpine team with Otmar. But let's have a look and see if he can get himself on, get the Alpine team on the podium for a fantastic celebration at the end of this one. Bradford there is closed the gap back in, I should say, to Ultimate Beast in P5, potentially going for that last that P5 position. But there, the gaps everywhere else have stabilised for the time being. Dopey Lemons is really pushing on. I think Equaz might have a bit of damage here. Equaz had a problem on the last lap or so. That might be the cause of this change of pace. There's no wing damage that's visible. Like I said, again, it could be something that's not visible to the spectators. But Hopefully he can get himself sorted and get himself back underway. This is encouraging Dopey Lemons now, who is all over the back now of that Aston Martin. He's dropped Ultimate Beast. Dopey Lemons has picked up the pace massively here and is looking to get himself up into the podium places potentially. Beast is under pressure now rather than looking ahead. Now he's looking behind at that Alfa Romeo is really pushing him through. Looks like Excel as well getting himself within range of reflection for P11 and potentially into the points as well. We'll find out. But there we go, as here comes Bradfield now down into the Nouvelle Chicane. No, not quite, he's too far back. 13 laps now on those medium combat tyres. I think they might start dropping off now very shortly, which might bring Irvine and Farf back into this party, and potentially with the penalties ahead of them, with Irvine and Farf not scoring any penalties so far, that will mean that they can move up the order as well. Sorry. But here we go then, Dopey Lemons now in P4. He's going to be trying to getting a move now up into P5. That Ferrari, I think, of V Todd just getting out of the way very kindly, which is nice indeed. Nigel's got the gap down to 5.2 seconds. Look at this go. He's gone. He's got himself up almost within the same range as we saw within the first 10 laps. We saw it was about 5 seconds in around lap 10 or 11, and now the gap is about 5 seconds with only 6 laps or 5.5 laps to go now. Can he gain a second a lap to get himself within the range of the Ferrari for the win of the Monaco Grand Prix? But we'll have to find out how that plays out in the next few laps. Here comes Dopey Lemons. They're still pushing the Aston Martin of Equaz through the hairpin section. Nothing doing. Sorry. Nothing doing for the time being. I nearly choked on me tongue there. But there we go, as Dopey Lemons they're coming through in the Nouvelle Chicane, still no moves being made. But like I said, it's a test of patience around here rather than pace in most cases. Of course, if you can just keep the car on track, keep the drivers behind, which you can easily do around Monaco, it's quite difficult to get an overtake done with just raw pace. You can keep that position, and of course we rely on the drivers keeping their patience as well. Nigel has still got a pass though, so Serious Problem, that is a very good point. He's brought the gap down to now to 4.2 seconds, 4.3. Cassell picks up another penalty. Unfortunately for Cassell, it's not going his way. It was doing his way at one point, which is a bit of a shame there to see Cassell now having a bit of a difficult race now. But he's done a fantastic job indeed in this race, as all the drivers have so far who've stayed in the race. That is, unfortunately, D-Mac, Fanjo and Wilson, they're not taking part, or not been able to take part in this race anymore. But everyone from VTOD upwards is doing a good job in my eyes. But yeah, unfortunately for Cassell, they're having a difficult second half of the race. It was looking good in the first stint, and he was holding up a lot of drivers as well, doing a good job on those hard combat tyres. But now, unfortunately, it has dropped away slightly, but potentially still on offer some points if there's any incidents around, or any incidents ahead, I should say. He's still within the range of the points paying positions potentially. Over the Nouvelle Chicane, there goes Dopey Lemons there. He's got himself within 6/10 of Equaz there. Equaz doing a good job of just holding off the attacks there from the Alpine driver. Out in the lead there, 3.8 seconds is the gap now. We're on to lap 36. There is still 3.5 laps or so to go in this event, and it's going to be close indeed. Nigel there, his light is flashing. Let's have a look and see if Kamara's is flashing as well. Doesn't look like it at the moment, so Kamara may have a bit more energy stored in that Ferrari to use later on in this race to defend from the championship leader of Nigel. As it stands at the moment, this is looking to be a close finish indeed. If Nigel can get those medium compound tyres to the end there, to the finish line, that is as well. It's going to be close indeed. But now Beast, Bradfield and Dopey Lemons are all caught up to this battle. Now they're all in the battle there for P3, but unfortunately for all three of them as well, they've all got penalties that will be added onto their race time. Always Bradfield deep into the braking zone there for the Mirabeau chicane, or Mirabeau corner I should say, and he's unfortunately didn't go into the back of the McLaren thankfully, but it might cost him a bit of time there just regaining his composure. Nigel needs to, Fanjo, not Fanjo either, his teammate of Fanjo, Irvine, needs to get himself up the order as quickly as he can there, because the penalties for the situation for the guys ahead of him. We'll have a look at the penalty situation for the drivers around. If Ginger Age is listening, he can potentially do a driver of the day poll as well. But here's the penalties there. There's 6 seconds for Dopey Lemons. That means Beast will get past him at this stage of the race. That will mean Bradford's got 6 seconds as well. Brabbit there with 3, as Dan Murphy. Farf picks up a penalty there as well. Farf, Serious Mushroom is going to be happy about that. Farf has got his penalty finally on lap 37. Cassell has got 9 seconds penalties there. Vitold has got 6, and Wilson's AI has got 3 as well. So yeah, I was going to say, like I said, there's plenty of candidates there for driver of the day, but I think unfortunately with the penalty situation for the likes of Dopey Lemons, Beast and Bradford, that is not good news, and it could be good news for Irvine. He can get himself up into P4 potentially if he can get that gap down to the drivers ahead of him. Unfortunately, we just saw Favre pick up a penalty there as well. It's not going to cost him anything at this stage because, of course, Brabbit is a bit too far back at the moment as well. So there we go. Irvine could be 4th, says Serious Mushroom as well. You're commenting about the penalty for Favre. I thought that's what you were rooting for in this whole race. But there we go. I'll leave the penalties up for a short second. Hopefully, Ginger Age might be able to get himself sorted as. Not Serious Mushroom, sorry. Styles has said Nigel is not going to pass. I think the gap has stabilised slightly, hasn't it? It's now 3.1 seconds, but it's not coming down as quickly as it once was, and I think that might mean that Camaro is going to be taking the charge, taking the lead of this, taking the win, sorry to say, of this race. He's taking the lead from pole position. Of course, he did that in qualifying, but he's done a fantastic job since then as well. Dopey Lemons there just backing off a bit now as well. I think he's dropped off. He was trying to raise the pace to try and get past Equaz potentially, but I think that has he dropped off the pace now, unfortunately, for the Alpine driver now, just looking to get himself to the finish line at least, and that will guarantee him some points. Kamaro's got it in the bag, says Styles as well. It looks like it so far, but anything can happen in Monaco, especially in Monaco, that is. So yeah, and lovely pen by Favre, says Serious Mushroom. Yeah, that's what you're rooting for all race. Thankfully for him, it's not going to hamper him at all, because he is going to be staying in P8. It looks like potentially if he can get past Irvine, he could maybe get a P7 here as well. But it looks like Irvine there is having a bit of trouble there. He's dropping off the pace now. Is Irvine? Not quite sure what's happening to Irvine here. He was on for potentially a P4, but he's now dropping out of the range of the drivers ahead of him. Oh, he's had a tap there from Favre into the Nouvelle chicane. That was a dangerous move there from the AlphaTauri driver, and I think they're just weaving around just to say a bit of sorry there. But we're on to the final lap of the race, and I think that both these drivers need to keep it clean and keep it clean and consistent, and they can get themselves some good points for themselves and the team, of course, that is. Driver of the day thoughts, I'm thinking Kamara, well, it's a bit too late now because we're on the final lap already, so don't worry about it. We'll just have to pick something from the classification at the end of the race. Here comes Kamara. We've got a yellow flag. What's the yellow flag for coming through here? I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Oh, well, Kamara has gone ghosted. What's happened here? Has Kamara got a puncture? Nigel's claimed the lead of the race. What's happened here? Nigel has got into P1 on the final couple of corners. Here comes Camaro. He's not got any. He's ghosting. He's still in. He's gone into the wall there. I'm not quite sure if there's a disconnection there or so. Nigel comes round the final corner to claim the victory here in Monaco. Blimey, what a race for the championship leader has got the win. As he crosses the line for P1 there, he's going to cross the line miles ahead of Camaro now. I'm not quite sure what happened there to Camaro. He's maybe run out of fuel. I'm not quite sure there at all. But Camaro, oh, that is a massive shame there for Camaro. He was leading the race. He got pole position. And that is him now finishing P2 after Nigel there gets through. I think he might have run out of fuel on the last half of the final lap. To make it Nigel there, the championship leader, giving him another win under his belt. Well, I won't take anything away from Nigel. It was a good race from him as well, but I feel so sorry there for Kamara Racer, who's run out of fuel on the final lap of the race, the final half of the final lap of the race, to cost him from pole position, leading the race commandingly, and unfortunately that has cost him the win. His first win of the season, it has cost him, and he's now 7 seconds. He's finished behind Nigel there. Unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, that is a massive upset and a real shame there for Camaro. I feel for him, really do. But he's still done a fantastic race nonetheless to finish in the podium place. It's his highest result of the season. But what a race! Oh my goodness me, that is absolutely distraught there for Camaro. There is a real shame. That is. Like I said, I'm very sorry sorry to see that. Unfortunately, Kamara deserved the win. Nigel there, he's the championship leader for a reason. He's going to pick up the pieces when others have difficult races, and he's got himself another win on the belt, and of course he was going to come home in P2 at least anyway. So another fantastic result there for Nigel, a really good win nonetheless as well. And hopefully someone can add the drivers into the party as well for the interviews as well, but hopefully Kamara can join us for a quick chat to find out exactly what happened there with his Ferrari car. Nigel as well on the top step of the podium, and of course Ekwaz, like I was saying, in the qualifying for the standings. He's been in P3 in the standings, in the driver standings, for quite a while, but he's been a consistent driver, and again consistently getting himself on the podium once again in Monaco. We'll run down from the back of the grid as we're going to have a few things to try and sort out at this one. I think Fandra there out of the race, as was DMAC, as was Wilson. V Todd did finish the race in the end. Fantastic stuff indeed from V Todd to keep going, even though he had a difficult race. Smithy Almighty in P13, Cassell there in P12, Reflection just outside the points in P11 as well. Good stuff from all the drivers who were outside the points but kept on going. Dan Murphy there in P10 getting the final point for Aston Martin from P14 on the grid. Brabbit there in P9 getting a couple of points for the Mercedes team as well. Farf there in P8 in the end. Ultimate Beast in P7. We didn't see what happened there, but Beast has dropped behind a Irvine in P6 now because, of course, there was penalties for the drivers around. Bradfield there in P5, Dopey Lemons there in P4, Ekwaz there on the third step of the podium. And then we've got Kamara Racer, who qualified on pole position, led the race for the majority of the race, and unfortunately on the final half of lap 39, the final lap, he ran out of fuel, we believe, to come home in P2. Nigel, the championship leader, has extended his championship lead by 25 points with Fanjo not finishing there. He has claimed yet another win in this ALR Season 5. What a result there for Nigel. And we'll have a quick look. Hopefully we can get the drivers into the party if they are not already in. We've only got one person in this, so nobody's added anybody in. Bear with me 1 second whilst I get the drivers in quickly. This is going to be fun. Oh, blimey, what a race that was indeed. That was an absolutely epic race, that one. Really enjoyed that. It was absolutely fantastic to commentate on again. What a return for Silver as well on the way back for 2023. We are back with a bang for sure. What an epic final to that the end of that race as well. It was nope, that's not the right name. Nope, that's not the right name still. There we go. Nope, that's not him either. Where is Ekwaz? I don't know which one Ekwaz is. I'm sorry about that, Ekwaz. Hopefully he's online and I can just add him in. Yeah, what a race that was. We'll get the drivers in for a quick interview very, very shortly. I think that's Ekwaz. It's a shame nobody could add him into the party for me. But there we go. We'll get the drivers into the interviews very shortly, but what a race that was indeed. Ekwaz, thanks. Thanks everyone. Thanks to Serious Mushroom as well for his support in the commentary. We'll get the mics turned on because we need the mics on, but bear with me 1 second and we'll just get that all booted up. Yeah, what a race indeed from everybody everyone who took part in that one. Like I said, absolutely epic for all the drivers. Let's have a look and see if we can get my microphone turned on. Can everybody hear me in the commentary party? Hopefully you can.
Yes,
we can. Good stuff. We've got Nigel with us. Of course, Nigel, another win for you, but I don't think you were expecting that. How were you?
yeah, great. It was really strange, of course, for me also, because Camaro was dominating the race, the whole race, and the last sector I got the win.
It was absolutely epic. And did you know what happened there to Kamara? Did you see or?
No, I really don't know. I didn't see nothing. He was just driving slow.
I must have run out of fuel then. That was my prediction in the commentary anyway. But yet again, another race for you. And unfortunately for Fanjo, your championship rival, he didn't have a good race. He retired and out of the points and therefore won't score anything tonight. So you've extended your championship lead by another 25 points as well. So you must be feeling happy about that.
Yes, of course. I was hoping to get many points here, but yeah, it is Monaco, so you never know.
You never know, but there you go. Well, a championship drive from yourself as well to extend your championship lead, and now we're headed to another street circuit. What's your thoughts on Azerbaijan in a week's time?
just doing the same as always.
There we go. Then the champion has spoken. So we'll see what he can do as he heads to the next race. I think that is it. We haven't got anybody else in the comms box, unfortunately. So we'll have to call it a day there. But thanks very much, everybody, for taking part in the ALR Silver Season 5 Round 7 Monaco Grand Prix. It's been an absolutely epic one to commentate on, an epic one to race in as well, it looked like. So, yeah, well done to all the drivers who took part as well. And of course, stay tuned for more ALR action. We've got, of course, the bronze round 7 Grand Prix of Monaco coming up tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m, and then the Portuguese Grand Prix for the ALR 100% League on the Wednesday, 7:30 p.m as well. So stay tuned for 2 more races this week, and then we'll be back for Azerbaijan from Sunday in gold on the for round 8. So plenty more action coming up in ALR. We're going through now to about May time. I think it is the end of the season, is the final weekend of May, final week of May. So we're all the way through to May now until the end of this season. There's a long old haul now to get the final few races done and dusted, or the second or the third quarter of the final season done and dusted as well. So so stay tuned for more action from us, and we'll see you soon.